Okay, cool. So as you've seen in the thumbnail and the package here, I actually just did my first PSA submission. Might be one of my only ones. I have one more coming in, which is just like a lot of other smaller cards. I haven't even opened this package yet, so you're kind of just seeing this as first time as I am. I've kind of made my kind of stance and opinion on grading already, though. If you've watched any of my other videos, I honestly feel like it's kind of pointless most of the time, especially based on like the type of stuff people grade. A lot of people end up grading things that are like less than $50 and they don't plan to sell them. So a lot of times if you're just doing kind of like personal collection type of stuff, it's not really worth grading. If you're looking to sell certain things and you need to verify it and sell it at a premium, yes. If you're buying, I still feel a certain way about it, where I feel like buying PSA graded cards or any graded cards in general, I don't think it's ever worth it to buy things like black labels, buying things like PSA 10s and paying like 10 times the original price of a card. I never recommend that. I feel like it's not really worth it. What I do feel like there is value in buying cards, like if you like buying cards raw and you feel like you want a card that's like actual in mint condition, I do like telling people to buy PSA 9s. Of course, not all 9s are the same, right? But I do recommend people buying PSA 9s because I feel like if you buy PSA 9s, then most of the time it's at near mint, and most of the time you're buying them at like the same price as a raw card. I'm not sure if the number of the submission matters, but yeah, as you see here, there's 31 cards in this submission. Have my carrot box cutter here. I honestly I feel like most people probably just peek at their grades. I actually tried my best not to look at it, but I got spoiled on one of them just because they sent me an email saying that they upcharged me. And it just so happened to be the last card in the submission, which I ended up putting at the end because I kind of wanted to see that one last. I'm not sure if they actually ordered the cards in the same order that I submitted it in. So I might just take a peek just to make sure, outside of not showing my personal information. All right, so this one's smaller here. I'm gonna, or is it just not in order? I feel like it's just not in order. Let me see if I just like peek at it real quick. Yeah, this is not in order at all. All right, so we're just gonna start with this box first then. Or I could just do what other people do and just flip them upside down, right? So in total, there should be 31 cards. It's a mix of mainly my kind of like childhood collection, which I wanted it graded, and I guess with kind of recent things in my life happening, I also kind of had that thought in my head where like, oh, you know, if something ever happens to me and I don't want my family kind of like dumping these cards for like pennies. All right, so there should be 31. Let's just make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wait, can't count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11. Okay. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Okay. The good thing is actually, I've seen a lot of people end up getting cards returned that are not graded, which is kind of what I'm afraid of. All right, so I think like what people do is they just end up covering the grade and peeking over, right? And then each one of these kind of like has its own story, which I'll kind of tell. So this Raichu, you can already kind of tell it's kind of fucked up. Like it's like scratched. I would assume the back also doesn't look that great either. But I graded this one just because, well, it's well loved just because I think as a kid I just really, really like Raichu. And I really wasn't expecting it to get any good grade. It was just kind of like for my own purposes. See what I got. 4. I mean, sort of expected, to be honest. I mean, that really wasn't a surprise, but yeah, Raichu is just so cute. So there's that. The really big one was also one of the base sets ones. Just like a little bit of a spoiler. Again, this is a mix of modern and it's a mix of modern and like vintage. Vaporeon. So I kind of wanted to grade this because I felt like it was like in pretty good condition. I don't think it's really worth that much as a card just because it's unlimited jungle. I just thought like, oh, it seemed like it was in pretty good condition, so I was like, why not grade it? See what it got. And a 9. So like I kind of have an idea of like what certain cards got. Most modern cards I submitted, I kind of vetted it. One thing I do recommend people when they submit these cards is you wanna like it kind of whether or not you plan to grade, but these things kind of teach you how to tell card condition. A lot of people don't really know the condition of their cards, unfortunately, and grading cards kind of shows you how to do it. So Polygraph, this was the first edition. I felt like this Polygraph was actually pretty clean. So I was sort of expecting like a higher grade. As for like if there's like any kind of other things, I'm not really sure. Like at least on the front and back, I felt like it was pretty clean. And then the hollow, I didn't really feel like there was that many scratches on the hollow, to be honest. So this is the first edition Shadowless Polygraph. Got a 6. I mean, honestly, not sure, to be honest. Why I got a 6, because it looked pretty clean. I don't know if it was just because like a centering. I guess there were like some silvering on the edges. Could just be like a lot of edge wear that I just didn't notice. A lot of things. Well, I also at the same time wasn't expecting too many high grades in the base set stuff, honestly, just because these things sat in binders, a 3-ring binder, and they did not. Oh, the Charizards. So I actually submitted 2 Charizards. Let's leave those for last. I was actually trying to save those for last, so we'll save the Charizards for last. I know the grade for one of them. I don't know the other one. Oh, okay. So this one's Japanese. This is more modern. I pulled this, and honestly, even if it got a 10, I saw on eBay that like PSA 10s for these, like the Japanese one, is only like $30. But I just really, really, really like the card. I felt like this would probably get a 9 or a 10. This is a Japanese version. I have English version that got sent out for grading as well too. I guess when it comes back, it seems to be assembling now, so I guess the grading is already done. I really, really like the texture on this card. I just think it's really cute, honestly. Everyone talks about like the Greninja, but I think the Ursaluna looks really nice. So I'm expecting probably a 9 or a 10. And I'll be honest, when it comes to Japanese Pokemon cards, I can't tell the back of centering on. Like, I'm very, very particular about centering on English cards. I could tell, like, on centering, like, if it's even a little bit off, it bothers me. But on Japanese cards, I can't tell, honestly. It doesn't have, like, a defined line on the borders on the back, so it's really, really hard to tell. But 10. Again, not really worth much in the 10. I just want to show kind of, like, how gorgeous the textures were. Hey. So let's see what the next one is. Umbreon. So this is the Hidden Fates Umbreon. I sold another one of these like last year. And I knew the centering on that wasn't as perfect. It's a little bit easier to tell the centering on these type of borders, I felt. And I felt like the centering on this one was actually pretty good. Yeah, just like, I don't know, just very pretty card. There's the back as well too. I feel like the centering was okay on the back. And if you see the bandage on my finger, don't mind it. I almost actually sliced my finger off recently, and I'm waiting for it to heal. So let's see what I got. 10. I'm actually, I don't know the values on these cards as the 10s, but I don't really like when people put values on their PSA return videos just because values fluctuate all the time. And to get like an accurate read on like how much these cards are, like they show like, oh, if you sell this at a PSA 10, it's like $200, but they don't talk about things like fees and the time it takes to really sell these cards. So they make you sound like, oh, if you just submit your cards, you're gonna make a lot of money, and it just doesn't work like that. Again, I'm kind of encapsulating these cards. This is just for like, you know, if something happens to me, then my family kind of knows like, okay, like some of these cards are worth something and worth selling, and I'll probably like leave a note for them to tell them. So there's a Flareon. I don't expect it to get a high grade. I think most of it's very, very hard to tell through the case. Because in the case, it just looks kind of clean, but like all like the edge wear, like the little dings. But it looks really, really clean, right? Like inside the case, like you don't really notice any scratches or anything. I honestly thought the Flareon was actually pretty clean. I would assume like what? The Vaporeon got a 9. I would assume this got a 9 too. Yes. So these two like were both like very, 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 very clean. I'm actually very, very shocked considering I kept these again in. I guess I'll keep the Japanese card in a different pile, and the vintage cards and the modern cards in a different pile too. But like I'm very, very shocked considering like a lot of these cards, again, they were sitting in binders and they actually had like a lot of like gunk on them, like dirt that like caked on it that had to like kind of not lick off, but like use saliva to get off. Apparently that's like one of the best ways. So this is a shadowless Gyarados. I think I remember trading for this in the lunchroom. There are some of these that were trades where I think I have a Blastoise coming up that's a trade as well too, where like people just moved on from Pokemon when I was a kid, and I still liked it. So I like trade like for like a snack or something, because I definitely did not buy a lot of boosters as a kid because we just didn't have the money. Yeah, like you see here, like there's like a lot of edge wear on like the corner. So I'm not expecting like a high grade on it, but Shadowless is a Shadowless, right? That's a PSA 5. Not too unexpected, but I honestly feel like the front is actually very clean. I guess whatever damage, I actually do see it. Whatever damage is like around the edges on the back. But I still think it's a really pretty card. All right. Ooh. This is one of the big ones. Shadowless Venusaur. So, this one I'm hoping for a PSA 1. You can't tell that it is fucked up, right? But, like, from the front, for whatever reason, it just doesn't really show that well. But if you look at the back here, I don't know if I could get it on camera. Let me see. Is there like a certain angle that I could show this? There you go. You see, like, there's like a crease there. And then right all along here, the card was pretty much bent. So this I probably definitely got from someone else that didn't want it. I was like, a Venusaur is a Venusaur, right? And it's shadowless too. I mean, it looks really nice if you just don't look very, very closely. So it still makes like a kind of like a really good display piece for a personal collection, honestly. And let's hope for the 1. Got 2. Like, they really couldn't give me a 1. I really don't understand how like a card is literally like bent all the way in half, and they couldn't give me a 1. Good, I guess. Let's put down the side. I guess how I wanted to do was I wanted to display the Venusaur, Blastoise, and the Charizard together. Let's do that. And so these are the modern ones. Blaziken. I'll kind of let you guys look at it yourself. I felt like it, again, between 9s and 10s, I feel like it's pretty much a toss up So that's just why I really feel like most people shouldn't buy PSA 10s for like such a premium, just because there's so many people that just crack these open and submit them again. And, you know, one day you get a 9 and then you submit it like 10 times and you get a 10. Let's see what the Blaziken gets. I thought the front looked pretty good. Honestly, the back was a little bit thick on the bottom. You can probably see it here. It's like a little bit thinner on that side. And it's a 10. So I know, I'm not really sure what the actual system for it is, but I know they have like some kind of like 60-40, something like that. I didn't look too deep into it. I figured I'd just put this in the submission anyways. I just really liked this card back then. I pulled this when Chilling Reign first came out, and actually, I only get one booster box and one ETB per set. And I got this and the Gold Snorlax. The Gold Snorlax wasn't in this submission, but it's actually in my next submission, and I'm expecting a 10 on that one as well too. And then next one, special delivery Bidoof. I wasn't expecting 10s on this because I felt like the centering in the front was way off. Like you see here, it's like very, very thin on the right side. And then on the back, so even on the back and the right, the back of this is actually very similar to the Blaziken. So on the back and the front, the centering really wasn't that great. So I was expecting probably like a 9. If I'm lucky, I get a 10. 9, yeah. So pretty expected. But Bidoof is actually very, 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 very cute. It's very surprising how special delivery Charizard ended up being the cheapest one. And then comes the Bidoof becoming like one of the more expensive ones. And then it's the Pikachu. Alright. Oh, Gengar VMAX. Gengar VMAX, again, I had this before it shot up. I honestly always felt like this was a very, very, very nice card. Opening Fusion Strikes, honestly, like Fusion Strike, I felt like they say the pull rates weren't, affected by people stealing the cards. But I really feel like, it kind of shafted a lot of rates. I've seen people open booster boxes without even any like VMAXs or Vs at all. Centering, I felt like this card was pretty good. I was expecting probably a 10, but again, if it comes out as a 9, it's just a coin toss, honestly. Gorgeous card though. 10. So this and the Blazing, so these have like really, really, really shot up. So again, like these I really, really wanted to send out just because I know like, oh, if I were to sell these or if my family were to sell these, then they won't get ripped off for like a cheaper price, because I know I personally pulled and looked at these cards and I knew like the quality was a lot higher, which is why I ended up grading it. And the cards that were dinged, I just kind of like left in top loaders in cases. Right. Shadowless Mewtwo. This was from like a starter deck. I was looking with that dust, but that's actually just like a chip on the hollow that's coming out. Centering was kind of like off. Honestly, there's like a lot of hollow scratches. Still a gorgeous card. I graded this just because Mewtwo was also one of my favorite Pokemons when I was a kid. Yeah, there's like a lot of these vintage cards all had kind of corner dings on the back mostly, and a lot of hollow foil scratches, just because back then there was just no like soft sleeves or like inner sleeves that I used. I just tossed these like straight into the binder, and yeah, they were heavily loved, to be honest. Heavily loved. Where I think I took them out of the binder all the time. I looked at them all the time. So Lopunny and Jigglypuff is really funny, actually. I kept the Bidoof here because I know I have another one. I want to stack them together. But this is actually really funny. It kind of shows you why you should just collect what you like. I had this in my collection, and back then this was worth nothing before like tag teams popped off. This was actually in like my bulk pile. when I was going through my cards. I was like, wow, I had this. I didn't look at it. Like I guess I opened this. I think was from Cosmic Eclipse, and then because I looked through my TCG play, I never bought this card. I looked at my eBay and never bought this card. So this is definitely something that I pulled at some point, and I didn't even know it was worth anything. And I just like kind of tossed it in my book. But it's a gorgeous card. Again, with the tag team cards, I feel like it's very, very easy to tell on the centering. If your centering is off, then you'll see a lot more of the silver on the bottom where it pushes the yellow up, and you'll see that that means that it's probably off center. But this one I felt like was really, really, really centered. So I'm kind of just expecting a 10 on this. Yep. There's a tag team card 10. Again, just very pretty card. Just like this is very, very, very different compared to modern cards. Psyduck and Slowpoke GX, another one of these cards that were worth nothing. Art wise, I just really like Psyduck and Slowpoke. It's just this is a very, very different art style, to be honest. Not very, very pretty, but unique and kind of derpy, which is why I like it. Centering, I felt like again was really good. Like if you compare the centering on this one and this one, I felt like the centering was pretty similar. If we look at the back, a little bit thicker on top, maybe, but I'm expecting probably a 10. Not 9. I mean, maybe it's just something on the surface. I mean, the only thing I could really imagine, honestly, is that that was just like really thick on top. But yeah, again, like 9s and 10s, it's a toss up, to be honest. Okay. All these submissions are so out of order because I know I submitted other Sliducks and Slowpokes. It's fine, whatever. Charizard V. So I pulled 2 of these. This one was actually in one of the videos where I pulled from the milk carton, Professor Juniper. That was from Amazon Returns. And honestly, like I looked through between this and my other Charizard V, and this one I felt like had a higher chance of a 10 because the other one kind of had like these really weird surface issues. But this one, again, I'm just trying to show like the foiling on it just because it looks nice. But this one I felt like was really centered, honestly. I'm sort of expecting like a 10. On the back is maybe like slightly thicker on the bottom. But for the front, I felt like it was clean. There's no dings, no whitening anywhere. And a 10. So I put that with I have a Gengar somewhere. So I put that with the Gengar. Again, this is a really gorgeous card. Again, most of these alt art to modern ones, I'm expecting 10s just because I sift through so many of them in my collection that I was thinking about, oh, should I submit it or not? And that's why I say, like, even if you don't plan to grade, even if you don't plan to sell, you should look through your cards as if you're going to grade it, just because it gives you a better idea of what conditioning is. And that just helps you when it comes to selling cards and buying cards. Psyduck Munch promo, this was worth not a lot at some point. I think I picked this up for like $90 or something like that. This was like 2-3 years ago. Again, like I felt like these were one of the cards that probably had a better chance of retaining its value just because it's so unique. A lot of people go after things like the Mimikyu and the EV, but I feel like the Psyduck looks really good. That I guess like I really like Psyduck. As for quality, I was expecting a 9 or a 10, just because centering wise, I felt like was as good as I think it could have been. And it got a 9, not a 10. I would, without even looking, I would assume at a 10, the price on this is like probably like ridiculous. But at a 9, I would still assume it's probably more than what I bought it for. Really nice. I probably would end up wanting to display. Oh, okay. There's a Yu-Gi-Oh card here. I think, but there should be another one then. I might as well show it. Both of them together. Where is it? There we go. All right, so I have 2 Yu-Gi-Oh cards in here. Most of my Yu-Gi-Oh collection from when I was a kid are all gone. These are 2 of the ones that I managed to keep. And they're 2 of my favorite, actually. Toon Summon Skull. And these are from Magic Ruler rather than Spell Ruler. So Magic Ruler was just like the not reprint set before they changed the name to Spell Ruler. And I did a video also on like the 25th anniversary reprints where I taught people how if it says 1996, it's probably the original one. If it has that like super long thing like TV Tokyo 2000 whatever, then that's when you know that it's the reprints. Again, not expecting, honestly, foiling wise, there are no scratches on these just because I never had Toon World, so I never was able to play these in decks at all. Foiling wise, I felt it was perfect. The thing about Yu-Gi-Oh cards is corners. They probably weren't perfect corners, so I'm not expecting 10s on these cards. So I'm expecting at least like probably like a 9. Yu-Gi-Oh cards are very, very, very hard, I feel like, to keep in like high quality just because of how easily damaged they could be. The corners are just so fragile. And a 9. Toon Summon Skull to 9. Not sure if it's worth anything. Not first edition, so probably not. But I just really, really like the Toon monsters. They're pretty shit, but this is one of my other favorite cards as well, too. I remember pulling actually this Toon Summon Skull and this Blue Eyes Toon Dragon because there used to be like a store that was like near where I went to elementary school. And it was just like some random store that sold just like random like stationary stuff. And you could buy packs for like $2-3. And this is where I pulled these cards. In general, I was never really lucky with like Legend of Blue Eyes. I didn't pull any hollows off of there. But for some reason, from Magic Ruler, I was kind of very lucky getting these. But yeah, Blue Eyes Toon Dragon, one of my favorite cards. Outside of liking Blue Eyes White Dragon, I just kind of really like this art. Again, I'm probably expecting like a 9 on this just because I felt like the foiling wise, there were no damage on the actual foil itself. But if anything, I'll probably get dinged on like corners. I know it's like a little bit of like damage on like a nick on the top. I don't know if that's just part of like the encapsulation process because I don't remember it being there when I submitted it. But whatever. At this point. And I got an 8. Acceptable. Acceptable. Still near mint. Again, I wasn't expecting them to be perfect just because I knew like the corners weren't that perfect. And another Charizard. Okay, so we'll leave these for the end. Charizard will go at the end. Blastoise. So Blastoise, I thought I traded for it, but I'm pretty sure it might have been pulled. Yeah, like I wasn't expecting a high grade on this to be honest either though. Just because the Charizard, the Venusaur, these cards I kind of put in the hollow is actually like kept very, very well. I might have not put this in my backpack, but I'm pretty sure the Charizard I did put it in backpack, and I don't think top loaders existed in my universe back then. So this is a really, really gorgeous card, honestly. I grade again. I don't know if it'll get a high grade or not, but I took a look over it. I tried to clean it up, like give it the Haktui treatment as much as I could. But yeah, like I didn't really notice like any damages, dings, or bends. There's nothing is as bad as the Venusaur. Every other one of my cards, I kept trying to keep as good as I could. I just don't know why that Venusaur is fucked up. So let's see what the Blastoise got. An 8. I don't think base set Blastoise is really worth that much. Like maybe like 150 to 200 probably. But I'm not sure what it would be at an 8. But I'm pretty happy, honestly. Really clean. I plan to display these all together. And yeah, like Blastoise, Venusaur, Charizard. I feel like I can make a nice display. Ditto. Ditto first edition. Not worth anything, but I felt like I kept it in pretty good condition. Yeah, like there's no scratches on the hollow foil. So if anything, like the front looks great. The back. Honestly, I felt like I didn't really notice anything on the Ditto. Got an 8. Not sure. Like I don't really feel anything about it, to be honest. Just because I was sort of expecting a lot of these to come back at a certain grade, especially the cards that aren't like really worth that much. Pikachu VMAX. I actually got this Rainbow Pikachu VMAX. It's Volt Tackle, the Japanese version. I don't know if the foiling is different, but I'll just show you guys. I actually got this from a giveaway. I think it was on someone's stream and they were just giving away packs, and I guess like no one cares about Japanese cards. And I just so happened to get a Pikachu VMAX in a giveaway. Rainbow Pikachu. And this definitely has went down in price in English, but still a gorgeous card. And a 10. I was expecting a 10. I only submit the stuff that I felt like would get not. Okay, base set aside, for modern, I honestly only submitted things that I felt like I would get 10s on. And I held on to this for a long time. I knew I was going to submit this at some point in the future. And because I knew this would get a 10, just when centering wise and the front is perfect. No dings, no whitening, nothing, no scratches. Went straight to the sleeve. Charizard VMAX, another card I also expected to get a 10 as well too. I had 2 copies of these. I sold one of them that was a little bit off center. This one was better centered than the other one, but still a little bit right heavy, to be honest. Another thing I want to kind of talk about as well too, when you look at pictures, honestly, like, oh, if I show it this way, oh wow, the centering looks fine if its card's a little bit tilted. But if you look at it straight on, you could tell that the right side's slightly thicker than the left. For me, maybe it's not the same for everyone, but for me, I'm very, very sensitive to that when things are kind of off center, so I can kind of tell. The back looked really good, honestly. It was just the front that was kind of off centered by slightly. But again, expecting minimum of a 9. There you go. 10. Again, how it works, maybe someone in the comments could tell me on like how they decide like, oh, what's forgiven, what's considered. I think that's why they say there are strong 9s, there are strong 10s, and then there's weaker 10s. There's that. Oh, another Japanese card. Let's look at that first. So this was the Greninja. So I got this. What's the news at like mass change? This popped off in English. I got this in Japanese, so I don't really care about the English version. Honestly, I feel like since the special illustration rare Greninja is going to be coming out, the new collection box for Shroud of Fable, I feel like that looks way better than this Greninja. But I graded this because I felt like this would get a 10, honestly. Again, same with the Pikachu and the Ursaluna. I feel like it's very, very easy to get 10s in Japanese cards. Maybe that's why they're not worth as much. I'm not even going to bother showing them back because I can't tell the difference anyways. Yeah, just a really gorgeous card. Just foiling in general. Like, you don't really get to see it that much in like pictures, but like when you see it in lighting and you move it around, you don't sometimes just don't notice how nice the foiling looks on these cards. And we got a 10. Expected. Again, expected. Very nice card. Put that with the Ursaluna. And oh, there you go. Here are the slow pokes and slide ups. Honestly, I feel like this version of it looks way better than the Secret Rare version. But that's it. Again, it's all kind of. I'm expecting a 10 on these just because I had like 4 copies. I have 4 copies of these cards, and this one was the most centered one. Again, you can tell based on like the borders on the bottom, like if it's off or not. And I felt like this one was actually the most centered. There was no whitening. Like the car is clean. So I'm just expecting a 10. Yep. From Unified Mind. Yeah, a lot of these are just like sleeper sets that people didn't really pay attention to, and then like they popped off because people pumped it. Sylveon V. I felt like this again. I'm expecting a 10 on this. Of course, like it's a little bit like left heavy now that I look at it, but the card itself is clean. Like the back, I felt like was perfect. Back, I felt like was pretty centered, unless like they ding me on the front being kind of off. Again, I think they also do it based on like the actual population of the card. Like if a lot of them get 10s, then they're more strict on it or something like that. I don't know. Or like if it's the other way around. If a lot of them don't get 10s, then that means that they're strict on it. But yeah, probably at least like either a 9 or a 10, I'm assuming. I really like the Sylveon. One of my favorite ones, actually. 9. Expected, I guess. Again, like I'm not too disappointed just because I've kind of expected a lot of these grades. There's Slowpoke and Psyduck. I can't tell. I don't know if you could tell that I really like Slowpoke by now. Hollow pattern on this actually looks really cool. Expecting either a 9 or a 10. Again, I looked at centering. I looked at the back. You know, probably as good as I could hope for it to be. A 10. Exactly. Kind of expect 217.35. Oh, 17. So that goes in order. I'll probably fix this later. I don't even know what I'm doing. Tyranitar V. Again, I'm expecting a 9 or 10 on this. I had this for a while. The back was really clean. There was no whitening on it. I was just dust. I saw like a white dot. There's no whitening on it. You can kind of judge for yourself. And then just Sleepy T-Tar. That's a really gorgeous card, honestly. It's cute. You can just tell, like, based on like the cards I collect. And this just the stuff that I have. I like really cute stuff. Sleepy T-Tar is just a really, really cute card. Expecting either a 9 or 10. Honestly, I don't notice anything wrong with it in the front or the back. The front, like, it's not like thick on certain side. It's not fucked up or anyway. So I'm expecting a 10 on this. There we go. Like I reviewed these like so many times. Like there's so many cards I was gonna submit and I just took it out of the submission because I did like multiple reviews on a lot of these cards where a lot of times like you gotta kind of toss out your ego and review your cards because a lot of cards where you think were mint, a lot of cards where I thought were mint and perfect ended up having dings and all these other issues. This card, I don't know if it's really worth anything. Like when I picked this up, it was like $14 or $15, under $20. And then afterwards, I think it shot up to like almost like $80 or something like that. But this copy again, I looked at the centering. The yellow part like doesn't show out that much. That isn't pushed up, so I was assuming the centering was perfect on this. I didn't notice any kind of whitening. The back looked perfect as well too. Expecting a 10. If I get a 9, whatever. It's a coin toss, but expecting a 10. There we go. Again, just kind of just showing off like the type of cards I collect. I really like unique type of art. And obviously this felt like a unique kind of art. Yeah, perfect. Cute. Not really sure if it's worth anything though, out of 10. Oh, there we go. My other special delivery Bidoof. Again, probably a toss-up between 9. A 10 would honestly be really nice just because I know a 10 is like, even at a raw, these are like $200-$300. At a 10, I would assume that probably means it's like at least like $400 or $500. Again, I just really like Bidoof. Okay, now that I look at it, the centering on this, it's like kind of off. It's kind of thick on the right side. So I wouldn't, the other one got a 9. I wouldn't even be surprised if this one gets a 9 too. Let me see. Yeah, the other one got a 9 and this one didn't even have like, all right, I guess this one's kind of thick. All right, I guess both of them, their backs are like kind of messed up. The foil itself is clean. There are no print lines or anything. 9, yeah. Kind of expected, I guess, right? Since the centering was kind of the same. All right. So down to the last ones. Um, so one of them I'm already spoiled on. I'll let you guys guess. So let's look at the back first. The backs look, honestly, I didn't notice any ding. For base set stuff, I felt like I kind of took care of these Charizards really well. Although I do recall at some point throwing this into my backpack, sleeveless. Um, Centering wise, I felt like this one a little bit off, but let's turn these around. So we remember the left one was kind of off a little bit. There we go. All right, so we turned it around. As for the front, honestly, the front, they both felt like they were pretty good. So the left one kind of, let me put these down for a second. On here, there's a spot where the hollow actually is like on the card itself. I'm actually curious, was this one the grade that I saw? But yeah, like if you look at both Charizards, actually, they're hollow foils. They were very clean. There was no gunk on either of these cards, and I felt like the centering on both these cards were actually very, very good. Like they didn't really have any like scratches on them at all. I guess I kind of really took care of them as a kid. I mean, who doesn't like Charizard? Let's see what grade they got. I keep looking for that one spot actually. I saw the hollow foil coming through. There's like a dot. Okay. The one on the right. Got 8. Okay. So this was the one I didn't see. So the other one I know the grade rate. But if I wanted to show you on here, you see how there's like a hollow dot on there? It was like a dot of hollow that like came right through on the surface. It's not damage. It's just, I guess it's just a dot of hollow on there. So this one got 8. Honestly, I first when I submitted this, I thought base set Charizards were worth nothing. But I think even at an 8, I think these are kind of still pricey. I think they're still like between like $300 to $500, which is pretty interesting. So the other one I already know already. So if that one got an 8, I want you guys to just look at. Well, I guess it kind of showed. Just look at this. This got 9. This is the one that they actually upcharged me on. I felt like the hollow on this one, I guess it makes sense. The hollow on this one was actually a lot cleaner. And I guess it didn't have that hollow, like the hollow bleed on the right side as the other one. It is 9. And I looked up why it was more expensive despite being a 9. Apparently at a PSA 9, these things are worth like at least like a thousand, close to like $1,000 or more, which is pretty insane. I think like last sold when I looked was like 1,200 or something like that. But yeah, I was not expecting my childhood cards to get good grades, but my main thing was like, oh, seems like a really nice display to have those out. So that's my PSA submission. Again, reviewing Blastoise at an 8, Venusaur at a 2, my 2 Charizards at an 8 and a 9. Those, honestly, I'm so happy about, just because I was not expecting any kind of high grade on those. Togepi, 10, Tyranitar, Sylveon V at a 9, Charizard VMAX at a 10, Pikachu VMAX at a 10, Tonkachu, Ditto, Random Ditto, PSA 8, Munch Psyduck, 9, my 2 Bidoof 9s. Kind of like now that I look back on it, really happy about the alt arts. Alt art Charizard V10. I really, really like this art. Gengar. Fusion Strike Gengar. Gorgeous art. I just think it's just so unique and just so cute. The colors are just so nice on this card. That's why I had it for a while. Got a 10. Blaziken. VMAX. Flaming Chicken. 10. Umbreon. GX at a 10. The Slowpoke. Slowbro. Was it like Pain? 10. 9, unfortunately, on that one. Low-punning a Jigglypuff. 10. Mewtwo. Shadowless Mewtwo, one of my favorite Pokemon. These were my childhood cards. A 6. Gyarados? I always called it Gyarados. And a PSA 5. Again, it's a clean card. I mean, I guess it's just a little bit messed up in the back. Poliwrath, honestly, I feel like should have gotten higher. But Shadowless Poliwrath, first edition, got a 6. Flareon and Vaporeon got a 9. Against gorgeous cards. Raichu, the 4. Greninja at the 10. And Ursaluna at the 10. And my last 2 cards, the Blue Eyes Toon Dragon and the Toon Summon Skull. So that's my first PSA return. I have a BGS return coming. Those were from my Weiss cards. And my it was mainly I wanted to send out. It was for my Final Fantasy cards. I had my Tifa and Cloud in there, and my Lightning cards. And then outside of that, also, hang on, my phone started ringing. So outside of that, I also had my another PSA return, which was like a little bit smaller of a submission, but like just very niche cards, to be honest, on that one. Not as big as this one. This one was like kind of like the, if these were to sell, then they will sell for like a lot. I forgot to highlight the Blue Eyes Toon in this. Let's go. But yeah, so those are coming back. So looking forward to making a video on that. Again, my opinion on gray cards, again, hasn't really changed. I would never pay, personally, I would never pay a lot for 10s. I can see why people value 10s. I just can't ever justify telling someone, oh, between buying a PSA 9 for raw prices and then paying for a 10 at like quadruple or 10 times the price, when a lot of times, honestly, like the difference between a 9 and a 10, sometimes there isn't a difference, and it's just a difference between, oh, if someone were to submit it again and end up getting a 10 on the same card. Not all 10s, not all 9s are the same. So when you buy the card, you want to look at it. You want to like evaluate it yourself before you buy it. Like in the future, I'll probably make a video because I have a 9 that's like fucked up. That I bought from someone else. So there's that too. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed watching my first PSA return. I'm honestly really, really happy to get my childhood cards back and just kind of have them encapsulated from getting damaged. And again, this is mainly for, like, you know, God forbid something happens to me and people would know, hey, these cards are worth something and these are the ones that are worth selling. Not to say like all my other cards are worthless, but like these are like a little bit more expensive. So they would know like, hey, I should just sell this differently. So that way they don't just sell it for pennies. Yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and you liked seeing this return as much as I did. Other than that, have a great day, okay, guys? Take care.